Welcome to FRCMedia News for Thursday, January 21st, 2021. I'm Keith Tebow. This week, President Biden takes the oath of office. What does it mean for Fall River? The city surpasses 10,000 COVID-19 cases. We investigate what lies ahead. And we get a public safety update from Police Chief Jeffrey Cardoza. All that and more coming up. President Joe Biden assumed office this week during a pandemic-restricted inauguration ceremony in Washington. Now in office, what could his policies mean for a city like Fall River? It remains to be seen, but Mayor Paul Coogan remains hopeful.
I think we'd have a much more accessible, working relationship with the new administration. I was on the phone with Marty Walsh, the new Secretary of Labor, on Sunday, and he said to me, "Paul, anytime you want to come to Washington, we'll do whatever we can to help you." I told him, I said, I really appreciated that, and I know our entire federal delegation, Markey, Warren, Austin, Clausen, Keating, are all more than willing to step up and help Fall River. And if we can keep building strong relationships with that crew, I think it's going to help us a lot.
Fall River surpassed a disturbing milestone this week, reporting its 10,000th confirmed case of COVID-19. During our weekly conversation with Mayor Paul Coogan, he says the impact of the pandemic in Fall River always weighs heavily on his mind.
Just think of this. I mean, a year ago, who would have predicted that this is what we'd be going through? And that's the sad part of this whole thing. Whether it's the testing, vaccines, regretfully, the people that pass away, the number of positives, where the outbursts are, it weighs on your mind all the time. And it's really sad. I responded to a young lady last night on Facebook that said, "What's going on in the city?" And I started listing stuff, and then I stopped typing because I just didn't want to keep putting down what we're doing. At the same time, we are planning a memorial service for Fall River residents that have unfortunately passed away during this, and we're going to do something in the spring. I mean, I really hope this vaccine pulls us out the other side. I think it's I call it the beginning of hope. If we can get enough vaccines in here and people get the vaccine and we start to get something built up, we're going to be fine. But we just got a little more work to do.
Recent trends indicate that infection rates will continue to be high, according to Dr. Eric Vaught, Chief Medical Officer at the Health First Family Care Center.
So we are still seeing a positivity rate that continues to actually climb. And we expected that coming out of the Christmas holiday season. Last week, Fall River reported over 150 cases per 100,000, which is the highest on record. And so we continue to see those patients in our facility. We continue to test those patients. We continue to offer testing in the parking lot to our patients. Even as we start to roll out the vaccine, we're continuing to see those rise in COVID cases.
As much as COVID has remained extraordinarily contagious, Dr. Vaught says instances of the seasonal flu have fallen below anticipated yearly levels.
When we started this pandemic, we talked about flattening the curve, and the influenza season of 2021 looks to be the lowest on historical record. And that has a lot to do with the public health measures that we've put in place for COVID. And so, yes, we're seeing very, very low numbers. We saw a large number of folks be vaccinated for influenza after the state mandated that all school children be vaccinated. We saw a large uptick there. We also saw just community members realizing that the influenza vaccine was just one more way that they could protect themselves during this season. And what that does is it really helps the medical providers when they go in and evaluate someone who has viral illness symptoms to really differentiate that it's most likely not influenza and more likely to be COVID. And it really helps with the diagnostic picture.
Massachusetts ranks 29th for vaccine distribution in the United States as a percentage of the population that has received the first dose, that according to data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Dr. Vaught says science tells us taking the COVID vaccine is safe.
I would advocate for all community members to be vaccinated. with either the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine. Both have been shown to be very safe in their use. We've been following the adverse effects data that continues to come out very closely. The most common side effect being localized redness and arm pain at the injection site. There's about 10% of the population that will develop flu-like symptoms, the fatigue, the body aches, the headaches, or even a fever post-vaccination. Those folks we watch very closely. Here at our own health center, we had staff members who received the vaccine that had some of those side effects, and we were able to watch them closely and monitor for further symptoms. The same thing would be expected as we roll this vaccine out to the general population.
Dr. Vaught cautions that even though the early results of those taking the vaccine have been positive, there are still several unknowns about how the virus may be transmitted by those who are vaccinated.
We're vaccinating individuals in order to prevent the development of severe disease requiring hospitalization. That's how it got the FDA emergency use authorization. And so there's still an unknown about whether or not someone who's been vaccinated could contract the disease and therefore transmit it to others. And we'll continue to get more and more data about that in the coming weeks. But that will be one of those things that maybe we've decreased the number of hospitalizations or people requiring mechanical ventilation in an ICU, but that we're still seeing a large proportion of the population infected with the disease. So we'll have to watch that over the next couple of weeks.
Dr. Vaught expects that once more people are eligible to be vaccinated, Health First and other vaccination locations will become widely available. Governor Charlie Baker this week announced that CVS on President Avenue and Walgreens on Plymouth Avenue have been added as COVID vaccination locations. As students in the Fall River Public Schools face the prospect of more remote learning as COVID-19 cases have surged, learning at Diamond Regional Vocational Technical High School remains in its hybrid model of remote and in-person learning it launched last fall. Assistant Superintendent and Principal Andrew Ribello says students take their academic classes remotely while returning to the campus for work in their vocational classes. And thus far, the results, although not ideal, have proven to be positive.
We have, had more and more students come in on the academic side, students that are struggling with a remote model of requested or a high need population. So we're doing everything we can, bring back students in a safe manner. But something we learned is that, we can't wait to go back to full in person. But our Diamond community and our population have really risen to the challenge. But we're not immune to it either. The COVID era of education is certainly not ideal, but the Diamond standard of excellence, our teachers have risen to the challenge of creating lessons and utilizing technology for learning, and our students are responding to the call. Our attendance rate is 96-97% in person and remote. That's right around or even a little better than a normal year. So kids are showing up, teachers are showing up, they're doing everything they can. Doesn't mean it's not tiring at the end of the day. We recognize that. But the Diamond standard of excellence, we haven't wavered from it.
When the pandemic hit last March, Diamond was proactive in the development of remote learning protocols. Mr. Ribello says the attention needed during remote learning has not come without challenges.
We are live synchronous learning for our academic classes, meaning if you have a class at 8 a.m., usually you're live with that teacher, signing on, camera on, and learning virtually with that teacher. And the same happens for the rest of the day. We're full live synchronous on the academic side, but that also creates challenges, right? Lag time. If the teacher is teaching something or you're submitting a question or going to a breakout group within your virtual setting, we have had students get kicked off. So teachers have done a great job adapting to that. And really, figuring out how to use this technology to best serve the students in their learning.
Mr. Ribello says as some students continue to be in person at school daily, there has not been any widespread concern over potential COVID infections.
I personally feel is that schools are the safest place for kids right now. And the data provides that, and proves that. Right now, the transmission within our school, of course, we have our positive cases. We have the close contact needing to quarantine. We have those cases. But from a transmission rate from one student or one teacher to another, we're not seeing that. So schools are the safest place for kids right now, and we're going to utilize and leverage every second we have with these kids, especially on the vocational side.
Fall River Police Chief Jeffrey Cardoza provided some updates on a number of department initiatives during an interview with FRCmedia last week. Chief Cardoza says the department is still determining what protocols it needs to develop to comply with the new police reform law passed by the state legislature and signed into law by Governor Charlie Baker last month.
Now that it's out and, we've kind of digested it and took a look at, some of the requirements and where we stand as far as do we meet all the requirements or do we have to make some adjustments? And there are a few adjustments that we have to make, but for the most part, I'll give you an example, like, the no chokeholds. We were already doing that, so that's not something that we had to make a change. As far as, decertification and post, it's my understanding that the committee, if you will, the post committee, doesn't even physically exist. There's no phone, there's no desks, there's no office, if you will. So logistically, they don't exist. So, once they get off the ground, we got some questions. Looking at the law, it talked about, we need to supply all the internal affairs investigations. I'm curious if there's a look back period. Do they want all the files of all the active officers? So there's some things that we have to work on and address with them and get to the bottom of it, because there's quite a few police officers in the state of Massachusetts. I don't know who's going to sit down and read all these folders.
The chief says that despite incidents that made news in recent months, violent crime in Fall River for 2020 declined compared to 2019. We're
still hovering, when you look at all those serious crimes, we're hovering about a 14% reduction from the prior year. And, I'm not pleased about the gunfire. Guns are our most serious, most violent crime and our most serious thing to investigate, if you will. So I'm not happy where we're at with that. We did have an uptick in that, as you know, and we got to work hard to get our detectives doing search warrants and get those guns off the street.
Turnover has been a concern as the department has seen a large number of retirements. Chief Cardoza says plans have been underway to replace officers to ensure that the city's complement remains at around 225.
So we have a couple officers that are just about to graduate the field training officer program. So they've gone through the academy, and then they have a 13-week field training program. So they'll be out on their own. And we also just had the other day, I don't know if you saw it on our Facebook, we just had 3 new officers start on Monday. So they're in their 13-week phase as well. And we've had a lot of retirements. We're becoming a very young organization, if you will. And, we're in the process of hiring now, and we may hire as many as 23 officers. It might actually be the largest academy class that we've had that anyone can recall in the last 30 years or so.
The chief says work continues among his staff and those in the mayor's office to build upon efforts made last summer in fostering cooperation between the police department and the community when it comes to serving minority and disenfranchised residents. Scheduling complications due to the pandemic has forced another delay to the start of the federal trial of former Fall River Mayor Jaziel Correa. U.S. District Court Judge Douglas Woodlock has set March 16th as the new date for Correa to face 24 counts of corruption and extortion related to his Snow Owl app company and the favorable support of local recreational marijuana dispensaries. In a related story, the Fall River City Council this week voted to dismiss its lawsuit against former Mayor Correa. You may remember that back in 2019, the council sued the mayor seeking his removal from office after he was arrested for a second time in September of that year on some of the federal charges he currently faces. A Superior Court judge ruled against the council based on the interpretation of the provisions within the city charter. We'll have more FRCmedia news right after this.
Hi, I'm Tess Curran. I'm the Director of Health and Human Services for the City of Fall River. I hope you and your family are well. The safety of our community is a priority of Mayor Coogan and myself. The Massachusetts Vaccine Advisory Group has developed the vaccine distribution timeline. As we move through the vaccine phases, I would encourage residents to regularly check the Mass Department of Public Health website to know when they are able to receive the vaccine. The COVID-19 vaccine is safe, and it is critical that residents receive the vaccine as soon as they are able to, based on that timeline. However, the vaccine is just one piece of the puzzle. We must all continue to socially distance, wash our hands, wear our masks, and stay at home as much as possible. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. We must all continue to work together to get control over this pandemic. With your cooperation, we hope to distribute the COVID-19 vaccine as quickly and as safely as possible. Thank you.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Staff accountant Robert Half Associates is looking for a part-time staff accountant responsible for preparing monthly and year-end closings, journal entries, fixed asset maintenance, bank reconciliation, and general ledger reconciliation in the Fall River area. Job number 144-41754. Surgical coordinator. The Center for Sight in Fall River, located at 1565 North Main Street, is in need of a full-time surgical coordinator to serve as a liaison between patient and surgeon, scheduling pre-operative appointments and ophthalmic surgeries for the practice. Job number 144-40111. Commercial Lines Account Manager. Bearing Star Insurance, located at 901 Eastern Avenue, is seeking a full-time commercial lines account manager to provide expertise in sales, placement, and service of commercial line accounts. Job number 144-39303. Bayada Home Health Care is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Personal Care Services, job number 144-42031. Registered Nurse, job number 144-42207. Charlton Memorial Hospital, located at 363 Highland Avenue, also is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Transport Aid, job number 144-42843. Ultrasound Technologist, job number 144-43089. For more information on these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. There has been some movement in an effort to fill the city's vacant city administrator position. Mayor Paul Coogan says the city is moving forward with a new round of applicants.
We did some interviews yesterday. We had a little bit of a crew together doing it. We had the council president in on the interviews, Cliff Pond, and we run a pretty standard interview. We have a 45-minute interview. We ask a series of questions, the same to everybody, and at least one candidate came out on top. But we're not going to disclose any names. We were very pleased with the quality of the candidates, and going forward, we'll see if we can get something done.
The city has been without a city administrator since Mayor Coogan took office a year ago. The Fall River Police Department is working with Blessed Trinity Church in Fall River to coordinate a Guns for Groceries program in an effort to get unwanted guns off the street. Police Chief Jeffrey Cardoza says the program was funded through the generosity of local donations.
I was actually having lunch with a high school friend of mine who was a businessman, and we talked about some of the things that I would like to see the business community get involved in, and he agreed, and I put this on the table, and we've been able to, through his assistance, been able to raise $6,000. So we know that we can fund more of these. We're not going to spend $6,000 on one gun for groceries. So we're looking forward to it. We hope it takes, perhaps some guns that could end up in the wrong hands off the street, and we're going to have some Walmart and some Stop and Shop gift cards for folks.
Father Robert Nemkovich, pastor of Blessed Trinity Church, says the gun collection program started over 20 years ago, spearheaded by the late Reverend Robert Lawrence.
Reverend Lawrence started it back in 1995. It was the year after one of our Fall River police officers, Thomas Junta, was killed in the line of duty. And to try to make a difference in the city, he started this program back in 1995, and it's been going on ever since. This is the 26th year now since he began it. And when he retired from his parish or his church, we opened up our doors to him, and he hosted a few of those events here. He and I worked together on that with our Fall River Police Department, and after his passing, we're continuing that on here at Blessed Trinity. Well over 3,000 guns have been collected so far in the program since Reverend Lawrence began it back in 1995. The last time we hosted it here at Blessed Trinity, a little over a year ago, it was in November of 2019, and we got right around 100 guns that were turned in that day for gift cards.
The Guns for Groceries program will take place Saturday, January 30th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Blessed Trinity Church at 1340 Plymouth Avenue. The City of Fall River is seeking nominations for its 2020 Youth of the Year Award. Youth Services Coordinator Christian McCloskey says the Youth of the Year Award, which celebrates the epitome of community service from a city high school senior, is celebrating its 14th year.
In 2007, through the Healthy Youth Task Force, which was a subcommittee of the Partners for a Healthy Community, we just came together and wanted to recognize the positive contributions that youth were making back to the community, but often didn't get noticed. Banks and the Rotary Club and Chamber of Commerce always had their Citizen of the Year, and this is our way to highlight some of the wonderful things that the youth were doing to improving not only themselves but to their community. I don't really think that this award is as important, so it's not like the students are really, I hope I get this award. They may not even know about it, and they just the recipient of it just because in their heart that's what they feel is the right thing to do. But for the past several years throughout the school department and community partners, there has been that major push to really that civic push to give back to the community, to be a better person. Part of the SEL curriculum, Choose Love, that it's not all about themselves, is how they help their peers, their family members, in really stepping up.
Nominations for the award will be accepted through February 5th, with the announcement of this year's winner coming on March 18th. We'll wrap up FRC Media News right after this.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Baby. Baby is a 5-month-old pit bull terrier puppy. Hi. We're keeping her on leash because she's a little too energetic. Baby is a very active dog. She's gonna want to be around you. She's gonna want to play constantly, and because of that energy level, we're saying kids 12 and over. Can you sit? Good girl. You gotta drop the toy first. Drop the toy first. Here. If you're looking for an active dog, Baby might be a good fit for you. She's gonna love to go for walks, maybe even running. She's just gonna want to keep going. If you think she's a good fit for your home, go on over to foreverpaws.com, check her out, fill out an application, and once you're approved, we'll call you to come in and meet her.
Today we have Eric. Eric here, he's 3 years old. He is in fact a boy, if you couldn't tell by the name, right? He is a very outgoing young man. You can see he very much loves the attention, loves the spotlight, as it turns out. As you can probably tell, his coat is not fully in. When he came to us, he was a bit of a mess, and in fact the person that found him initially had shaved him down because he was all matted and dirty, all that sort of thing. They got a couple of his whiskers too, so right now he looks a little shabby, but he is actually, you can tell from his undercoat there, he's a very beautiful cat and very much outgoing. He's good with other cats. He does not like dogs though. Older kids would probably be best for him. So if you'd like to meet Eric, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
Hi, I'm Tess Curran. I'm the Director of Health and Human Services for the City of Fall River. I hope you and your family are well. The safety of our community is a priority of Mayor Coogan and myself. The Massachusetts Vaccine Advisory Group has developed the vaccine distribution timeline. As we move through the vaccine phases, I would encourage residents to regularly check the Mass Department of Public Health website to know when they are able to receive the vaccine. The COVID-19 vaccine is safe, and it is critical that residents receive the vaccine as soon as they are able to, based on that timeline. However, the vaccine is just one piece of the puzzle. We must all continue to socially distance, wash our hands, wear our masks, and stay at home as much as possible. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. We must all continue to work together to get control over this pandemic. With your cooperation, we hope to distribute the COVID-19 vaccine as quickly and as safely as possible. Thank you.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. For the latest news and information, please visit our website at frmedia.org. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.